This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Feiyang, what's going on? Guang Yi exclaimed in shock. His face was filled with surprise and joy. He was surprised because this series of changes made him at a loss, but he was happy because the power in his body was actually increasing. Feiyang's expression was much calmer. He said, "Time has returned to its roots, back to the untainted land." What happened in this sea area? Time reversal? Guang Yi was shocked. Does that mean that the power I've just obtained will remain in my body forever? Feiyang shook his head. Once we leave this sea region, or the atavism of time returns to normal, it will no longer exist. I'll do it. Then what's the use of this? Fuck. Guang Yi cursed in rage. At this moment, the surging power in his body was getting stronger and stronger. Not only was the essence energy in his dantian getting stronger, but even his physical body was getting stronger and stronger, developing towards the ancient ancestor. Highness Yi, please calm down. This will be of great benefit to us. We can comprehend the power of our ancestors and feel the feeling of the peak. It will be of great help to our cultivation and breakthrough in the future. Feiyang said. Guang Yi's expression changed several times. If my power increases like this, does that mean that Ruo Xiang outside can also get stronger? He asked. As long as Ruo Xiang of the Northern Sea is also in this time period, it will be the case, Feiyang said. Killing intent shot out from Guang Yi's face. His hand that had turned into a reddish-brown claw suddenly clenched in the water, immediately creating a vortex that gradually spread out. He growled unwillingly, "If I don't kill Ruo Xiang, I'm not a human." A fierce light flashed in his eyes as he threw out a punch. Boom. The whirlpool immediately fell to the bottom of the sea and exploded right in front of Feiyang, instantly turning the kneeling guards into pieces. Feiyang was still standing in the middle of the explosion. However, the corner of his long robe was lifted up by the impact and it fluttered on the seabed. If Highness Yi insists on doing so, Feiyang will have no choice but to bring his highness back by force, he said quietly. Guang Yi's expression changed and he said in disbelief, "What did you say, slave? You want to attack me?" A cold glint flashed in Feiyang's eyes. Although he was not a descendant of the true dragon and did not have a superior bloodline, he was also the sword servant of the Eastern Sea matriarch. However, he was a martial supreme powerhouse that could not be underestimated. His strong heart of martial arts made him furious. He said in a cold voice, "Feiyang is a swordsman's servant, but the mistress has always loved him and never yelled at him. That's why I've been staying in the palace. I'm indebted to the mistress, so I will let Highness Yi off this time since you humiliated me just now. There will be no more next time." Guang Yi's face turned ashen. He had clearly felt the killing intent that burst out from Feiyang's cold gaze. Even though his strength had increased greatly, he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. If he continued to scold him, he might really die here. In the Four Seas, in addition to the royal clans of the Four Seas, which were S-class existences, there were also some mysterious and powerful races. They rarely appeared in front of their fellow members of the sea race, and most of them were hidden in the deep sea and isolated from the world. They did not listen to the orders of the royal clans, but they also had S-class strength. The family that Feiyang was from was such a terrifying existence. Feiyang had such a tragic background. He was abandoned and hunted down by his family. It was only when Guang Yi's mother appeared that he was saved. He had been by his side as one of the 4 guards. Feiyang's emotions fluctuated for a moment before he regained his calm expression and said, "Highness Yi, don't be naughty. Come with me." Guang Yi was so angry that smoke seeped out of his 7 orifices. The other party was talking to him like he was a child. He was so angry that he was about to explode, but in front of that terrifying strength, even if he was a royal, he didn't dare to be rash. He immediately transformed into a true dragon avatar and kicked out with a dragon wagging tail, causing the entire seabed to surge. Then, Guang Yi turned into a stream of light and headed towards the surface of the sea. Feiyang's expression remained the same, not paying the rolling waves any attention at all. Only a trace of doubt flashed in the depths of his eyes as he stared in the direction that Guangyi had fled in. The power to reverse time had come from above the sea. What had happened to produce such a strange effect? A smile appeared at the corner of Feiyang's mouth. It was a good opportunity to take a look while Guangyi was disobedient. It wouldn't be considered going against the mistress's wishes. His figure flickered and disappeared into the sea. Treading on azure cloud raised its head and neighed. The purple and azure colors on its tail became more vibrant, and it dragged the long chariot toward the sea. At this moment, the giant-faced beast, which had already lost its life, was floating in the sky. There were large holes in its face, and it had long been blasted beyond recognition. Boom! Suddenly, the warship trembled. A huge, pitch-black hole on top of the giant-faced beast seemed to spiral out a force that spread into the world. It began to tear the space continuously, and even the size of the 9th-grade warship was pulled up, driving into the darkness. Baiming Lifeng's expression suddenly changed as he shouted, "Stop! Stabilize the ship!" After a few breaths, the battleship stopped in midair, and a disciple hurriedly came forward to report, "Lord Lifeng, the suction force of the black hole is getting stronger and stronger. Should we turn around?" Baiming Lifeng's face was dark as he looked at the giant-faced beast's body that was gradually splitting apart. The black holes on its face had all connected together, and they were still spreading, tearing the giant-faced beast's body apart even more. A huge black hole had appeared in front of the battleship, blocking their way. If they retreated, they could only take a huge detour or wait for the black hole to dissipate. Baiming Kongtian stared at the black hole for a while, then sighed and said, "Let's change the topic." This black hole was formed from the energy inside the dead sea beast. It's like a star in the sky. I really don't know what's going on with this sea beast. Boom. 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 Suddenly, a large number of attacks came from behind, landing on the defensive barrier one after another, causing a multicolored light to bloom in the sky. Yunxiao's eyes flickered as he said with a smile, "Ruo Xiang has been enduring for so long, and he finally appeared? How much power could the atavism of time brought by the huge-faced beast's death increase? I'm really curious." Baiming Kongtian's body trembled and he said in surprise, "The atavism of time you speak of, could it be?" All of a sudden, an extremely powerful force condensed in the sky and transformed into the shape of a dragon. It was as if an ancient true dragon had reappeared in the world and roared as it crashed down on the battleship. Boom. The entire starship trembled violently, and several layers of light burst out of the defensive barrier. Then, a large number of Sea Tribe experts appeared one by one, and they joined forces to break the light barrier layer by layer. Everyone was shocked, and they looked out of the battleship in disbelief. Those Sea Clan members who had appeared in the air were all unusually fierce, and even their bodies seemed to have become larger, as if they had entered a berserk state. Bang! Bang! The defensive barrier was getting weaker and weaker. "Hold on." Baiming Lifeng was shocked and shouted. "We must hold on." Boom. A hole was blasted in the light, and a large number of oceanic species experts rushed in. In an instant, they pounced toward the crowd, and a fierce and brutal aura spread out from every member of the oceanic species. It wasn't just the savage ferocity brought about by the atavism, but also the endless humiliation and hatred from the death of the giant-faced beast. Every member of the Sea Tribe was so angry that their eyes were about to pop out, and they wanted nothing more than to die together with the enemy. Baiming Lifeng was stunned for a moment before he roared in shock and anger, "Kill! No one is allowed to retreat. Kill all of these Sea Tribe members." With a sword in hand, he took the lead and rushed over. Bang! The sword radiance swept down and directly chopped off the fist of a Sea Tribe member with a thick body and a long horn on his head. The Sea Tribe member howled in pain and lowered his head. He used the horn on his head to block the attack and used his huge body as a weapon to ram at all costs. Bang! The horn collided with Baiming Lifeng's sword, causing his aura to weaken and him to take a step back. Baiming Lifeng's heart was filled with shock. This sea tribe warrior in front of him only had the strength of a peak martial honor. How could he possibly have the strength to contend against him? Just as he was feeling shocked, the marine race expert raised his head and revealed a cruel smile. Not good. Baiming Lifeng was startled. He suddenly shook his sword, and a sea of swords spread out from his hand. Boom. The powerful warrior of the sea tribe in front of him crushed his dantian and exploded under the pressure of his sword. The powerful force of the explosion slammed into Baiming Lifeng's sword. Although it didn't hurt his body, it forced him to retreat several steps before he could dissipate the force of the impact. These merfolk have all been strengthened. Everyone, be careful. Yi Lechi had also discovered that something was very wrong. He couldn't fight back against a sea tribe martial emperor who was 2 stars weaker than him, and he was struggling to hold on. The atavism of time young Master Yunxiao mentioned is actually the return of a large number of sea race bloodlines? Baiming Kongtian said in horror. How could such a thing happen? Yunxiao's eyes focused on the fleeting figure in the sky as he explained, although it's strange, it's not impossible. There are signs of time dilation in many places on the heavenly martial continent. I seem to understand what's going on with those deep-sea monsters. What's going on? Baiming Kongtian asked hurriedly. The deep-sea giant beast was too terrifying. Its power was enough to compete with a 9th-rank warship. If there were a few more of such existences, the entire East Sea could sweep across the eastern region. Although he did not care about this, it involved a powerful force, which was what he was concerned about. It's just a guess, Yunxiao said. I don't have any evidence, so it's not convenient to say. Baiming Kongtian felt a burst of displeasure in his heart, but since the other party wasn't willing to say anything, he had no choice but to say, no matter what these monsters are, no one can stop Baiming Dark Palace. His eyes turned cold as he looked up into the sky. Ruo Xiang didn't deliberately hide his aura, and the powerhouses all felt the strong enemy in the sky above the warship at the same time. With Elder Kong Tian's help, that Ruo Xiang will die for sure, Yunxiao said with a smile. I'm relieved. I'll take care of that man, said Baiming Kongtian coldly. We'll still have to rely on young Master Yunxiao to help us on this warship. Don't even think about running away, or we won't be able to get along so happily. Bang. After saying that, the ground under Baiming Kongtian's feet exploded. The extremely solid deck of the warship caved in under his feet, and he shot toward Ruo Xiang with the force of the impact. You little brat, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Do you think that you can fight against my Baiming Dark Palace with just a monster? What a big joke. I'll give you an unforgettable lesson today. Baiming Kongtian drew a circle in the air with his palms. Streams of profound ice chi rose from his arms, and 2 seals appeared in front of him. Then, he put his palms together and slapped forward with a loud shout. A force that could break mountains shot out, as if it was not a palm force but an ice mountain. Ruo Xiang didn't seem to be in the right state. He lowered his head as if he was thinking about something. It was only when the cold air pressed down on him that he slowly raised his head. His eyes were filled with anger and murderous intent. Luo Ho's attack. A ray of light flashed and Luo Ho's war spear appeared on his body. He held it tightly in his hand and pointed it down. The spear radiance gathered into a line and broke through the surface with a single point. Boom. The palm power that was like an ice mountain was hit at its weakest point under the powerful force. In an instant, the palm power collapsed in the sky. Ruo Xiang shot out his spear, and the aura on his body exploded, shaking the space around him. Both Baiming Kongtian and Yunxiao's expressions froze, and they were shocked. At this moment, every move of Ruo Xiang was vaguely showing the might of a true dragon, which made their souls tremble. Ruo Xiang's entire body turned into a ray of light and rushed into the sky. Luo Ho's long spear turned into a white spine that circled around his body in a spiral and continuously embedded into his body. His body, which was squeezed by his spine, began to bleed. Drop by drop, the blood turned into red bloodstones in the sky and fell into the sea. The blood of a true dragon? The demon dragon in Yunxiao's body suddenly cried out in alarm, almost roaring, "This is the blood of a real dragon. Oh my god, what's going on?" Yunxiao's face was also solemn and filled with disbelief. He grabbed at the air, and the blood rocks that were falling in the distance were caught in his hands. When he spread them out, they were as red as jade and shone brightly under the sun. There was a faint dragon shape gathered in them. Not only that, but Yunxiao's palm also glowed with a golden light, which was the imperishable golden body's automatic protection. The dragon blood burned his skin with an extremely high temperature, stimulating the imperishable golden body and making it resist on its own. Is it really dragon's blood? Yunxiao's face was filled with horror. He had seen the dragon bloodstone before, which was equivalent to the secret treasure of a true dragon, and its value was immeasurable. Gulp. The demonic dragon's swallowing sound came from his soul. It was almost roaring, "Collect, hurry up and collect. These are all priceless treasures, the blood of a true dragon." Yunxiao narrowed his eyes and suddenly clenched his fist. Bang. The beautiful, jade-like crimson bloodstone shattered into pieces in his hand. His hand was covered in red powder, and a dragon chi rose from it. "You're so silly." The demon dragon said, "I know you still have some doubts, but this is really dragon's blood. Time must have returned to the wilderness, and the power of Ruo Xiang's bloodline is extremely strong. That's why he's in the dragon form for a short time. Hurry up and collect the dragon's blood, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." "Don't worry," Yunxiao said indifferently. "This is not the blood of a true dragon. Even if time is reversed, it is impossible for a true dragon to appear under the sky. The true dragon's bloodstone is extremely hard and scorching. My half-finished indestructible golden body can't resist the corrosion of the dragon's blood, and it's impossible for me to crush it into powder. However, the concentration of his bloodline is indeed very high, and he is infinitely close to the son of the dragon." At the end of his speech, Yunxiao's face turned a little solemn. Even if he was the son of a dragon, he was still in existence at the true spirit level. He raised his head and looked at Ruo Xiang, who was continuously increasing his power in the air, and his heart became heavier and heavier. This unparalleled genius of the sea race was very likely to become the first true spirit to step into the 10 Directions divine realm in tens of thousands of years. A hot blood was burning in his body, and Yunxiao had an impulse to fight. The demonic dragon sensed his state of mind and said, "The future of the world may be a battle between the two of you." Yunxiao's surging blood slowly subsided, and a smile appeared on his lips as he said, "I hope so. Otherwise, if I'm the only one trying to break through to the god realm, it'll be such a lonely thing." The battle intent in his eyes flashed and he said softly, "I'm really looking forward to another battle, but it's a pity that it's not now." "Li Yunxiao, what are you doing? Everyone's fighting with their lives on the line," Beiming Lifeng said angrily. "You're just watching from the sidelines. Do you have any shame?" Yunxiao smiled indifferently, then turned and joined the battle. With his current strength, these minions could not resist him at all. Even some powerful existences with atavism could only exchange a few moves. He strolled around the battlefield as if he was taking a stroll. With every step he took, he attacked, killing one person with each move. That leisurely and carefree expression of his caused Beiming Lifeng to feel both hatred, jealousy, and fear. A surge of anger poured into the sword in his hand, and he began to kill even more ruthlessly. Yunxiao seemed to attack at will, but he had made a choice to kill his enemies. One was to protect his friends, and the other was to protect the safety of the warship. The whole warship seemed to be in a mess, but in fact, everything was under his control. In the sky, the dragon's spine was directly pressed into Ruo Xiang's body. He was in great pain, and his eyes were filled with anger. His entire body was dyed red with dragon blood. Boom. As the last dragon secret treasure merged into his body, his aura rose to another level. Just the strength of his chi alone was enough to smash through the air like steel plates, shattering them in front of Beiming Kongtian. Ruo Xiang's laughter came from the sky. At this moment, his appearance was completely different from before. His face had completely transformed into a dragon. This power, the 5 dragon secret treasures, and I've actually perfectly fused them with me while I'm in the strange state of the wilderness. When he had fused with 4 dragon artifacts in the sky above Red Moon City, his body had already been severely damaged by the backlash. 4 dragon artifacts were almost his limit. At that time, he knew that it was impossible to fuse with 9 dragon artifacts and transform into a true dragon. Only by constantly cultivating and strengthening his bloodline and physical strength could he fuse as many artifacts as possible. Therefore, when he obtained the 5th treasure from the East Ocean Dragon Palace, he wasn't as excited as before. He didn't dare to use it easily, or he would explode and die. However, he didn't expect that he could merge the 5 treasures perfectly during this period of atavism, and his strength reached an unprecedented peak. Baiming Kongtian was also shocked, but he still kept a cold expression on his face and said, "No matter how many artificial limbs you put into your body, it still won't change the fact that you're going to be beaten up." His body flashed in the air, and he appeared dozens of meters away from Ruo Xiang. He confidently held his arms in front of him, and with just a wave of aura, he broke the dragon breath that was surrounding Ruo Xiang. Ruo Xiang was forced to retreat dozens of meters before he could stabilize his body. Ruo Xiang's expression changed drastically, and a cold glint flashed in his eyes as he said in a cold voice, "A 9 stars martial emperor?" A hint of mockery appeared on Baiming Kongtian's face as he said in disdain, "Aren't you overestimating yourself? Why would I need a 9 stars martial emperor to deal with a piece of trash like you?" He raised his leg and kicked out in the air. A burst of profound ice power blasted towards the target. It was like the setting sun in the long river, and a beautiful ice river streaked across the sky. Ruo Xiang had been on guard for a long time. When he heard that the other party did not have the power of a 9 stars martial emperor, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Otherwise, there would be no need to fight at all. He turned around and left directly. "You're the one who thinks too highly of yourself." Ruo Xiang's expression turned cold. He opened his mouth and roared. The dragon's might shook the sky. Then, he clenched his 5 fingers into a fist, and his body directly smashed against the ice river. Bang! 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 The entire river was shattered, and the sky was filled with ice crystals exploding. It was extremely dazzling. "Try my true dragon avatar." After Ruo Xiang's punch, he let out a loud roar, and his entire body rose into the air like a dragon soaring in the sky before flying down to attack. Baiming Lifeng's expression changed. The powerful dragon might not only placed a heavy pressure on his body, but it also struck his soul, causing him to feel a burst of irritation. "I've been born to hate insects." A cold glint flashed in his eyes, and his killing intent immediately rose. He put down his hands that were crossed in front of him, and he stood in the sky like an immovable ice mountain. His aura suddenly converged, and there were no signs of it being released. Ruo Xiang's expression suddenly changed. Although Baiming Kongtian didn't do anything and was just standing there, he felt an inexplicable fear. That kind of aura directly broke through his dragon's might, and a sense of uneasiness welled up in his heart. Not good. Even if this man isn't a 9 stars martial emperor, I'm afraid he's not far away. Ruo Xiang was shocked. His true dragon body turned in the air and changed from attack to defense. After a pause, he quickly retreated. It's too late to run now." Baiming Kongtian sneered. He took a step forward and raised his hand. The sky suddenly darkened, and a nebula vortex appeared, covering the entire world. The people on the 9th rank warship also felt the change in the sky. They looked up and their hearts beat wildly. They had seen this move on Baiming Zi not long ago. It was the extremely powerful 3 moves from beyond the heavens. Baiming Lifeng's heart was also greatly shaken. He had thought that Baiming Kongtian's attack would be a matter of minutes, but he didn't expect to receive the 3 moves from beyond the heavens. Both he and Yunxiao had doubts in their hearts. Was it possible that Ruo Xiang was so powerful that he needed a peak 8 stars martial emperor to perform such a heaven-defying divine ability? The moment the nebula vortex appeared, Ruo Xiang's entire body trembled. He was directly intimidated by the might of the heavens and earth, and he was actually unable to move. At this moment, in addition to the nebula phenomenon, there was also the huge black hole left behind by the giant-faced beast not far behind him. Even the devouring power of the black hole became insignificant in the face of this nebula vortex.